Hello everyone. Welcome. My name is Buckley. Over the years, I've spent a great deal of time around business, finance, and people making important life decisions. And after watching thousands of decisions being made, I began noticing something fascinating. Something that seemed contradictory. Something that at first made very little sense. Every day we see people driving expensive vehicles, luxury SUVs, large pickup trucks, premium cars with leather seats and giant screens. We see the newest phones, designer clothing, large homes, vacations, lifestyle upgrades. And from the outside, many of these people appear successful. They appear comfortable. They appear financially secure. But then something unexpected happens. The same person driving an expensive vehicle may also be struggling to buy groceries. The same person living in a beautiful house may be stressed every month waiting for the next paycheck. The same person carrying the newest smartphone may have almost no emergency savings. And suddenly a question begins to appear. How does this happen? How can someone appear wealthy while simultaneously struggling financially? Is it carelessness? Is it bad decision-making? Is it lack of discipline? Or is there something much larger happening beneath the surface? Because in many cases, these are not irresponsible people. These are hardworking people, intelligent people, people who love their families, people trying to build a better life. So today we are going to investigate something that quietly affects millions of households. We are going to explore why people sometimes buy things they cannot truly afford. We are going to examine the hidden costs that many people never see. And by the end of this discussion, you may discover that financial literacy is not simply about making more money. Sometimes it's about seeing money differently. Let's begin with one of the biggest financial illusions people face. It sounds simple, and it sounds harmless, but it quietly changes financial decisions every day. The idea is this: if I can make the monthly payment, I can afford it. A dealership says only $850 per month. A furniture store says only $30 per week. A phone company says only $45 per month. A house payment looks manageable. A vehicle payment looks manageable. A new phone payment looks manageable. Individually, none of these numbers seem frightening. In fact, they can seem surprisingly affordable. And that is where the trap begins. Because people often believe they are buying one thing: a car, a house, a couch, a phone. But in reality, they may be buying years of future obligations, years of payments, years of insurance costs, years of maintenance, years of upgrades, years of financial pressure. The problem is not always the purchase itself. The problem is everything attached to it. Because small monthly payments can create a dangerous illusion. They make expensive things feel inexpensive. And sometimes people slowly build a financial life filled with payments, without realizing how heavy those payments become together. Let's start with something most of us interact with almost every day: the automobile. For many people, a car is not a luxury. A car is a need. People need transportation to get to work, to go to school, to take children to appointments, to buy groceries. Reliable transportation matters. But somewhere along the way, transportation and lifestyle sometimes begin to blend together. Imagine two people walking into a dealership. The first person chooses a reliable, practical vehicle. The second person chooses a luxury SUV. Larger wheels, more technology, premium features, a larger engine, a more impressive appearance. At first, the difference may not feel dramatic, because the dealership does not focus on the total cost. The dealership often focuses on the monthly payment, and suddenly the expensive vehicle begins to sound reasonable. But something important happens after the purchase. The monthly payment arrives. Then insurance arrives. Then maintenance costs arrive. Then registration costs arrive. Then new tires arrive. And larger vehicles often mean larger expenses. Higher fuel usage, higher insurance premiums, higher repair costs, higher replacement costs. People often think they bought a car, but many people actually bought an entire chain of future expenses. Today, Average monthly payments for many new vehicles are already approaching levels that would surprise people. Some buyers are paying amounts that look more like rent payments. Now, there is nothing wrong with enjoying a nice vehicle. There is nothing wrong with success. But transportation is a need. Luxury transportation is an upgrade. And sometimes upgrades quietly become financial burdens. Now, here is the interesting question. If these financial decisions create problems, why do people keep making them? Because the answer is probably not what many people assume. Most people are not making these decisions because they are careless. Most people are not making these decisions because they are unintelligent. People are human, and human beings naturally compare themselves to others. Think about your daily life. You open social media. You see a friend standing next to a new car. You see vacation pictures. You see upgraded homes, new phones, designer clothing, success, achievement, lifestyle. And after enough exposure, something subtle begins to happen. We stop asking, "What do I need?" And we begin asking, "What am I missing?" That question can become very expensive because we rarely compare financial situations. We compare appearances. We compare what we can see: the car, the house, the watch, the clothing. But appearances can be misleading. The person driving the expensive car may be stressed every month. The person living in the large house may have very little savings. The person appearing wealthy may be carrying enormous debt. And that creates a dangerous cycle. People feel pressure. Pressure to keep up. Pressure to upgrade. Pressure to appear successful. And sometimes wants quietly begin wearing the disguise of needs. Now, let's move from the driveway to the front door, because houses create a very similar illusion. Imagine two families. One family chooses a home that comfortably fits their budget. The other family stretches a little further. Maybe the larger house has a better kitchen. Maybe it has more space. Maybe it sits in a nicer neighborhood. Maybe it simply feels like success. And at first, the difference may not seem dramatic, because most people focus on one number: the mortgage payment. People often ask, "Can I make the monthly payment?" But that question may not tell the whole story, because a house rarely arrives alone. A house brings additional expenses: property taxes, insurance, utility bills, maintenance, repairs, lawn care, furniture, unexpected problems. A larger home often means larger bills, larger spaces to heat, larger spaces to cool, larger roofs, larger repair costs. And suddenly, a decision that looked manageable begins expanding month after month. Now, there is nothing wrong with wanting a beautiful home. There is nothing wrong with ambition. But a need is shelter. A need is a home that supports financial stability. A home should create security, not financial stress. Because sometimes people do not become financially overwhelmed overnight. Sometimes they become overwhelmed one payment at a time. And unfortunately, the story does not stop with cars and houses, because many people continue adding payments in places they barely notice. And this is where things become even more interesting, because cars and houses are usually not the end of the story. For many people, additional payments begin quietly appearing everywhere. A new phone, a streaming subscription, a furniture payment, a credit card balance, a buy now, pay later purchase. Maybe a gym membership, maybe another subscription, maybe another monthly charge. Individually, most of these expenses do not seem very large. $10 here, $20 there, $30 somewhere else. Nothing appears dangerous, nothing feels overwhelming. But then something begins to happen. The number of payments starts growing, and eventually people wake up one day feeling stressed without understanding why. Because financial pressure rarely arrives all at once. It arrives slowly, quietly, almost invisibly, one payment at a time, one decision at a time, one small obligation at a time. Today, Americans carry enormous amounts of household debt. Credit card balances continue reaching levels that would surprise many people. Buy now, pay later programs have become increasingly common, and while these programs can be useful tools when used carefully, they can also create an illusion, because paying later can sometimes feel like paying nothing, until later finally arrives. And suddenly people discover they are not paying for one thing, they are paying for many things at the same time. So now we arrive at the question that sits at the center of financial literacy. What is a need? And what is a want? At first, the answer sounds obvious, but in real life, the line is not always clear. Let's start with transportation. A reliable vehicle that gets you to work safely, that is a need. A vehicle with premium wheels, luxury features, and a price tag that stretches your finances, that may be a want. Let's look at housing. A safe home that fits your budget, that is a need. A larger home with rooms that rarely get used, combined with financial stress every month, that may be a want. Food is a need, basic clothing is a need, healthcare is a need, financial security is a need. Even emergency savings can become a need, because life rarely asks for permission before creating problems. Now, this does not mean wants are bad. Wants are part of life. People should enjoy life. People should reward themselves. That is not the problem. The problem begins when wants quietly move into the space reserved for needs. Because once that happens, priorities can become distorted. Financial stress begins increasing. Debt begins growing. Savings begin shrinking. And suddenly people may find themselves looking successful on the outside while struggling on the inside. So perhaps the question is not, can I buy this? Maybe the better question is, can I buy this and still protect my future? Let's return to the question we asked at the beginning. How can someone appear successful while simultaneously struggling financially? The answer is often hidden beneath the surface. Because many people are not buying a car. They are buying years of payments. Many people are not simply buying a house. They are buying taxes, insurance, utilities, maintenance, and future obligations. And many people are not purchasing a lifestyle. They are financing one. Now let me be clear. There is nothing wrong with wanting a beautiful home. There is nothing wrong with wanting a nice vehicle. There is nothing wrong with enjoying success and enjoying the rewards of hard work. The goal of financial literacy is not to avoid nice things. The goal is understanding what those things truly cost. Because a need is not the most expensive option. A need is not the biggest option. A need is not the most impressive option. A need is something that supports your life without quietly damaging your future. A reliable car can be a need. A house that fits your budget can be a need. Food security can be a need. Emergency savings can be a need. Financial peace can be a need. And perhaps one of the most important questions we can ask ourselves is not, can I buy this? But instead, can I truly afford everything that comes with it? Thank you for joining me today. I'm Anders Buckley. Take care of yourselves, make smart decisions, and I'll see you in the next video.